How's it going, everybody? Father Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback, and now we are looking at Amazing Spider-Man issue number 12. This issue came out in May of 1964, and we're looking at the second part to this saga here with Doctor Octopus. Remember, last issue, Doctor Octopus returned with his second appearance, so we're now looking at his third appearance in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 12 as the story continues. And in this issue, we see on the cover that Spider-Man is unmasked and Peter Parker is revealed to be Spider-Man. Is this true? Is Spider-Man's identity ruined in this issue? We're going to find all this out right now in this comic book flashback. So go ahead and continue to watch this. We're going to be looking at this amazing issue. So don't turn away, folks. Alright, so the title of this, we're looking at The Unmasked by Doctor Octopus. We've seen Doctor Octopus already in last issue, and then he made his first appearance in issue number 3. So we know a good bit about what Doctor Octopus can do with his arms. He is a deadly menace, and he is one of Spider-Man's biggest foes. And of course, we cannot continue to do this without contributing or telling who contributed to this issue. So we're looking at Stan Lee, who wrote the issue, Steve Ditko, who just draws Spider-Man amazingly, and then Art Simek, who does the lettering page. And so this is a good, I would say, splash page right here. And I would say that the artwork is continuing to get better and better with every issue, and the stories are getting a lot better as well. So I'd say at this point, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko have reached their peak. They are in their prime right now with Spider-Man. This is some of the best writing and some of the best artwork I've seen from both men. So let's continue on. Let's look at how the story starts. Remember last issue, Spider-Man had to travel to Philadelphia to go and save Betty Brant, the girl he loves, and fight Doctor Octopus. Remember, Doctor Octopus got away after Spider-Man and Doctor Octopus were on that boat. They were fighting on a boat, and the boat crashed, and so Doctor Octopus got away. So Doctor Octopus is still at large, and Spider-Man is going to pay a visit to J. Jonah Jameson, and let's see what happens. Looks like the woman that was working for J. Jonah Jameson, who was filling in for Betty Brant, she quits because, I mean, who could really work with J. Jonah Jameson? I mean, really, he shouts, he's angry all the time, so, good for her. But it looks like Betty Brant returns to New York City. She's finally back. Remember last issue, she's recovering from the death of her brother, so that's still going to affect the relationship between her and Spider-Man. She doesn't hate Spider-Man for any reason, but she still does not like to see him because it reminds her of what happened last issue with the death of her brother. If you have not seen that issue and that review, go back to my last review and I give a good summary of what happened there. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue. We see Peter Parker comes, and remember, Peter Parker has a huge crush on Betty Brant, and he's still pursuing her at this point. Jameson's like, don't get around here unless you got some photos, you hear? So, Jameson's always like that. He doesn't want Peter Parker around unless Parker has some photos. So we see right here in this panel that Doctor Octopus is committing a lot of crimes. He's not in New York. He's still in Philadelphia or in parts of the country in the United States, probably in the West. And he's just doing all types of armed robbery. He's just trying his best to get Spider-Man's attention. And there's a reason for it. He wants to get revenge on Spider-Man. That's Doctor Octopus's goal right now, is to alert everybody in the country that he is after Spider-Man, that he's going to defeat Spider-Man for putting him in prison. Doctor Octopus, as you recall, he was in prison for a year after the fight he had with Spider-Man in issue number 3. And so Doctor Octopus wants to get revenge on Spider-Man, but remember, Peter Parker, he is a high school student. He has things that he has to worry about, like with exams that are coming up. He has he's a normal person, even though he's a superhero. He has other things he has to worry about, like school. So we see Peter Parker back being the high school student that he is, and we also see the return of Liz Allen and Flash Thompson as well. We haven't seen them in quite some time, so Peter Parker runs into them, and they're talking about how the Daily Bugle is bad mouthing Spider-Man as usual, and then they're even using this photo of a spider to show that Spider-Man is dangerous. And Peter Parker, remember, he's Spider-Man, so he has to keep things secret. He can't really reveal to the others that he's Spider-Man, so he tries to play off like he doesn't like spiders and he doesn't really trust Spider-Man, so that Liz Allen and Flash Thompson would never suspect that Peter Parker would be Spider-Man. So now we see that here's where it really starts with the story, and things are picking up as the rising action starts in this issue. So Doctor Octopus gives Betty Brant a call. Remember, Betty Brant had to go and pick up Doctor Octopus last issue, so he still knows how to contact Betty Brant. And Betty Brant is afraid. You can tell in this picture right here that she is deathly afraid of Doctor Octopus after last issue. And lo and behold, Doctor Octopus shows up right here on this page, page 4. Doctor Octopus comes to the Daily Bugle and he kidnaps Betty Brant. And he tells Jameson that he needs to send a photographer to Coney Island, and Spider-Man needs to show up because this will be the biggest scoop of all time. Doctor Octopus finally defeating Spider-Man. So that's his big goal in kidnapping Betty Brant. He slings both J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker against the wall, and Jameson automatically sends out an editorial in the newspaper saying Spider-Man needs to get in contact with him so that he can go to Coney Island and fight Doctor Octopus. Now, before I didn't mention this, but Peter Parker has come down with a cold. It looks like, even though he's a superhero, he is still not immune to getting viruses. So this is really going to affect, as you see right here, this is really going to affect how he fights Doctor Octopus. He's come down with a virus, and as we see right here, when he tries to tackle Doctor Octopus, he gives out one of it. Tried to do his best punch, but it's weak. It's almost like he lost all his spider strength. So Doctor Octopus automatically attacks Spider-Man, and he's like, "What is going on?" He grabs Spider-Man, and this is where it's the big reveal. J. Jonah Jameson's there, the police, and Betty Brant takes off Spider-Man's mask, and it reveals to be Peter Parker. But none of the people believe that Spider-Man really is Peter Parker. They think that Peter Parker dressed as Spider-Man to impress Betty Brant and to just try to be in the newspaper, I guess. Try to say that he tricked Doctor Octopus, and that's what's going to happen. Spider-Man comes back home, and he needs to just rest after being beat up, and Aunt May takes care of him as he tries to fight off the virus. The next morning, he feels 100%. He grabs the costume that was brought back, but now Aunt May is in suspicion as she knows what really happened at Coney Island, and she tells Peter Parker that she never wants to see him wearing that Spider-Man outfit again. She still doesn't know that he's Spider-Man, but she doesn't want him to be ever seen in a costume like that again. Peter Parker comes back to school, and for the first time we see in this issue, Liz Allen is showing some interest towards Peter Parker. She thinks what Peter Parker did at Coney Island was heroic, and this is going to, this is very interesting right here because it's going to affect the relationship between her and Flash Thompson, as they've been dating for quite some time, and they're even not dating now, as we see as ex-boyfriend right now. So it's interesting to see what will happen in the next issues with Liz Allen and Peter Parker. Remember, Peter Parker is still pursuing Betty Brant, so we might see a love triangle start coming right here between those two, a little bit of drama. So in order to Doctor Octopus to get Spider-Man's attention, he goes so far as to release these wild animals out into the streets from this zoo just to get Spider-Man's attention. And for now, Spider-Man finally comes on the scene. He's 100%. He's not sick, and he fights off these wild animals. So let's kind of move on forward. You can just admire some of Steve Ditko's great artwork here. Some awesome artwork. Doctor Octopus just on a rampage here. Spider-Man finally comes on the scene. He even fight Doctor Octopus's arms right here. Smashes into a water tower and gets J. Jonah Jameson wet. That's pretty funny. Some just great artwork here. What can I say? So Spider-Man and Doctor Octopus, they're in a highway speed chase, pretty much. I mean, Spider-Man pulling all his abilities and just displaying them right here in this issue. So let's move forward. So they finally crash into this abandoned house, and it's full of sculptures. And Doctor Octopus knocks over this cleaning fluid, and it starts a fire. So the whole place just starts erupting in these flames. And it's like, oh my goodness, how in the world is Spider-Man and Doctor Octopus going to get out? The statue falls on Doctor Octopus, and Spider-Man tries to save Doctor Octopus. Spider-Man runs out of web fluid, puts web fluid back in, and Spider-Man's like, you know what, I got to get out for my own sake. Like, I got my own life to worry about, so he makes a web shield, and he uses his webbing for him to get out, and the fire department comes, the police come, they finally get Doctor Octopus, and so Doctor Octopus is finally going back to prison. Liz Allen shows up on the scene, and she invites Peter Parker to this party, but he pretty much downplays it and says he has a date with a hot brunette that's going to be Betty Brant. And Liz Allen, as we see right here, does not like that at all. At all. So it's interesting to see what will happen in the next issue with the relationship between Liz Allen and Betty Brant and Peter Parker, as we see now that Liz Allen is showing some interest towards Peter Parker. Peter Parker has it all, seems like. So continue to just like this video, comment down below what you liked, and I will see you in the next review.